Supper with Stub, supper with Stub, mixing up drinks and making grub, pairing beer and wine with the dishes we love. Come on in and see the spell of Supper with Stub.
Hello friends, welcome to Supper with Stub. You know what we do here? We drink and we cook things. This is the final episode of the first season of Supper with Stub, and we're gonna go out with a bang. It's one of my signature dishes, Tequila Lime Chicken. And since we always start with a cocktail, we're starting simply today, I don't need a measure for that, with, you guessed it, a shot of tequila, because we will be using this for cooking. Now we'll be using a different tequila for cooking, but whatever, the spirit moved me. We're starting with a tequila shot because there's little I like more than licking, slamming, and sucking. Tequila shots are fun, are they not? All right, let's get to the star of today's show, which is the Tequila Lime Chicken. Now we have to make a marinade for this. It's going to need about 2 to 4 or so hours. So what we have here, I'm putting the meat of the limes in there. I've got about 18 of these, and I say 12 to 18 just because sometimes the limes are small, especially this time of year. You can see I also squeeze some reserve juice out of the peels after peeling these limes. To that, we're going to add, all of the things, the garlic, our onion powder, our cumin, and of course, our cilantro. And the big daddy ingredient of them all is going to be tequila. Today I'm using the 1800 Reposado. I like using the Reposado. A lot of people wouldn't use this in a dish, but I do like this slight smoky flavor it does impart. We're using about 2 ounces of this here. So we're gonna go ahead and put a lid and blend this up. All right, our marinade, or most of our marinade is in there. In the meantime, it's mixed up pretty well. In the meantime, we're gonna take our chicken breast. You can use thighs if you want. Today I'm using chicken breast strips. I love the surface area it gives. The marinade gets to, touch more of the meat that we're gonna eat and imparting more flavor. So you see, I said 2 tablespoons of salt and pepper. We're probably not gonna use all of that, to be honest, but you can. So this is about 2.5 or so pounds of chicken here. So we're just gonna salt and pepper each side, and I like to use a little chili powder over top. What we don't sprinkle chili powder over the top of these, we're gonna add to our marinade here in a bit to give it a kick before we pour it over our chicken. All right, friends, you see we have both sides of our chicken strips here cut. I'm gonna go ahead and add, I do love using all of this chili powder. We're gonna go and blend this up one more time. And with that, I am going to go ahead and give this a little taste. Wow, that is really tart. I know we've salted our chicken fairly liberally. I add just a touch more salt in here. And then we're gonna add just a little small layer of this into some kind of container. We're just gonna throw our chicken strips in and pour the rest of the marinade over. Once again, about 2 hours in the fridge. So you see this marinade's a little chunky. That's because we use the actual meat of the limes there. And quite honestly, it's really this simple. Pretty easy prep. Mix these around in here. Make sure the chicken's well covered. Throw some marinade on my shirt. The typical things. All right, so let's see, that little guy is not in there as well. Bam. So we're gonna cover this, put it in the fridge for a couple, like I said, minimum of 2 hours. Once I pull this out, we'll be making a proper cocktail for this meal, and next I'll be showing you how to make your own homemade tortillas to really amp this meal up. All right, friends, our chicken has been marinating, or marinating, as some of our friends incorrectly say. Always cracks me up though. So we can sort of officially start the show now with this week's official cocktail, and it is a proper margarita. Now, a lot of margaritas we have at chain restaurants, Mexican chains, or even some of our better bars are not technically maybe proper margaritas. All right, well, who's to say what a proper margarita is? Well, I am. So what we're doing here is we're rimming a nice cocktail or rocks glass Lime juice, salt, easy, and we're gonna go ahead and add ice so the glass is chilling while we mix our cocktail, which consists of 2 ounces of tequila. You can see here I'm using 1800 Blanco tequila. I love the 1800 tequila personally. I love all 3 of them. They're great. They're great for shooting. They're great for mixing. They used to have tops on here where if you thumped it upside down, it actually measured a shot for you. The impossible part was turning it back over and or pulling that cap out at the same time without spilling half of said shot all over the place. All right, to that we're gonna add 1.5 ounces of lime juice, and you know I sat here squeezing this out earlier. Now, next we're gonna add an orange liqueur. This will normally be triple sec, but we're gonna go ahead and add 1/2 ounce of Grand Marnier because we're full-time fancy, as you know. And because of the tartness of the lime juice, we're gonna add about 1/2 ounce or so, maybe just a little less of simple syrup. And we're adding a little less, why? In honor of our good friend Aphrodite, who loves sour things, as do I, especially my margaritas. So we're gonna shake this up and then strain into, and I don't know if I can get a close-up enough on this with the lighting, a very proper United States Marine Corps glass here. And of course, we're gonna garnish it with a lime. Straws are somewhere, I don't know. Don't need a straw for this because I wanna lick the salt off the side. We remember from earlier, I love licking, slamming, and sucking. Oh, that is a delicious cocktail. So we're gonna move these cocktail ingredients out of the way. We're gonna leave the cocktail close at hand here and get to what's gonna be a really super fun part of the show. We're gonna make our own homemade tortillas for our tequila lime chicken, which we're gonna throw on the grill here shortly. All right, homemade tortillas. Really not that difficult, and there's really only one really good piece of advice. Don't overwork your dough. As we've learned before, overworking things, that's what sinners do. All right, so we have our flour, our salt, and a little baking powder, and our lard in here. Now, I've experimented for the last several weeks trying to remember from being a kid, us making our own homemade tortillas, which we didn't do often, but we did every now and again. Trying to get all of the measurements correct. And I consulted some friends whose families make homemade tortillas more. So what we've basically done is mixed our dry ingredients and our lard. Now, yes, I said lard. You're gonna look online how to make these. People are gonna tell you use butter. People are gonna tell you use olive oil or this or that. Use lard, people. And honestly, most of the recipes you look up are gonna probably tell you to use less lard than you should. Lard and salt are what's really gonna give us a nice flavor with the dry ingredients here. All right, friends, so you see we have this mixture looking like a little bit of a rough cornmeal here. The next ingredient we add, and this is very important, we're gonna add 3/4 cup of hot water. Hot water, not cool water. Some of you bakers out there will say, why are we adding hot water to something? Well, this isn't a baking item. Now, you can do all of this in the food processor. What happens though, as we've learned before, like with our biscuits, you're overworking your dough, and of course you don't want to be a tortilla sinner. So we're basically gonna mash all of this together until we have this nice dough. And it's gonna be sticky. And you see on the bottom of the pan here, we have a little flour that's not quite incorporated. We added the 3/4. I'm just gonna add another splash or two. I've learned this is fine, just a drop or two at a time to make sure you get all of this dough very wet in here and get all of the flour damp and incorporated into the dough ball. All right, you see that? So I may have added, at the most, an extra 1/2 ounce of water, but I don't even think I've added all that much. So you see what we have here now, and we'll pull this out, is a nice dough ball. And it is sticky, don't be afraid of that. It's gonna be sticky, but it's all worked together. Now, we're gonna move this out of the way. Here's the messy part. Anytime I'm doing baking or working with flour, I hate this. The rib really hates it because flour is everywhere. Now what you're gonna do, I'm just doing this right on the countertop because I've learned trying to do this on a cutting board or anything else just doesn't work. So we're gonna work our dough into a bit of a ball. Once again, we're not overworking it. That is so super important. Now, from this, what we're gonna do, once we have this incorporated here, is pinch off balls. Now this right here, most recipes you're gonna read is gonna say this is gonna make about 12 tortillas. So what we're gonna do is just start making balls of dough and trying to get them even. Now, I like to get a few more tortillas out of here because when you roll them out as thinly as we need to, for our tortillas, what ends up happening is they end up being way larger than you would probably like, especially for simple tacos. All right, friends, you see this, we've managed 14 about evenly sized balls. I've wiped up the counter just a little bit to get the more damp, sticky dough up. Now we're gonna start working these tortillas into actual tortillas. Now, you can use a tortilla press. Once again, you want a nice floured surface for this. I have found, personally, that it's just as easy to use, and I do have a tortilla press, which the rib was like, why do we need a tortilla press? And I'm like, for making tortillas. And then she's like, then why don't you use it? So we're basically just gonna roll this out into, each of these balls is gonna end up being about a, I don't know, 6 to 7 inch nice round tortilla. Now you want these things fairly thin, you see that? Dust any flour off if you've over floured a little bit here as I have, and this is gonna be easier as we go through. Then we're just gonna throw those on a plate. So once again, for the first part, over twice on the flour, and then slight rolling pin. Careful, even with the flour, sometimes these are gonna stick. A little less so with an actual wooden rolling pin. And you're gonna see we're getting a nice circular. Hey, if it's not a perfect circle all the way around, doesn't matter. Once again, Grandma Helen would have loved these because they're gonna taste delicious, even if they don't look 100% perfectly round. So we're gonna do this with all of our tortilla balls here. And I like to throw them on a plate with a little wax paper in between each one. There we go. We'll be back in a minute and begin our chicken. All right, friends, we have, or I have before me, I mean we collectively, I guess, because we're all in this together, right? We have a nice hot griddle set to, it's just so close to 400 degrees. You need a hot griddle. You can do your tortillas also on a cast iron skillet, a pizza stone on a grill or in an oven as well. Or, you know, if you're super rich and fancy and you have one of those conveyor ovens like you see in the Mexican restaurants, yeah, you can use that as well. But we're gonna throw these on and let them heat up. Theoretically, they're gonna start bubbling a little bit. Oh, look at this! We've made them correctly. You're gonna get a little bit of bubbling and the sides are gonna puff up just a little bit. See this great non-stick here. So we're gonna leave these on for, I don't know, 15 to 30 or so seconds aside, but you see them puffing up just a little. What you don't wanna do is overcook them because then they'll actually end up being a little bit hard. So if you gotta flip them a couple times, this is not like a burger. You're not gonna get the moisture out of these if you flip them a time or two on here. But look at that. They look just, I mean, they look as good as the store ones you buy, except, you know, maybe not as perfect a shape. So once again, you see just a little bit of puffy going here. Now, in the meantime, what I didn't tell you, I have a tortilla warmer. If you're gonna make your own tortillas or have a lot of people over for anything that requires tortillas, tortilla warmers are awesome. So I'm gonna pop this thing open and show you what I have in here. Have a little piece of wax paper over a damp paper towel. I put this in the microwave for about 30 seconds to start some heat and moisture in there. And then as you do your tortillas, you can just throw them in here and they will in fact stay warm. All right, we're gonna do a few more tortillas. In the meantime, I'm gonna go pull the chicken off the grill. We'll be right back. Oh, friends, being originally from Texas, Tex-Mex style food is just absolutely one of my favorites. I've met a lot of people from around the world and especially on the West Coast, people talk about, you know, that's not real Mexican Tex-Mex, but I'm just pulling off my last tortilla. These things are amazing. You can see our chicken here. Look at this overhead shot. I've chopped a little bit of it up. Get this nice little orangey color. You got some grill marks. It's nice and tender still. Don't overcook it. Didn't show you how to do that, but 3.5 to 4 minutes per side with these little chicken strips will do you. As always with chicken, you want to cook it all the way through, but not overcook it, as a lot of us tend to do. If you're using whole breasts or whole thighs, you're probably still gonna go about, well, thighs probably 4 or so minutes aside. Breast, depending on how thinly they're cut, you're probably gonna go 4 to 5 minutes aside, or maybe 6 on one side, 4 on the other. But once again, make sure your juices are running clear if you poke them a little bit. They always will be. All right, how do we plate this meal? Well, you see I pulled off a nice hot tortilla. So we're just gonna pull one of these off here and have all the fixings around here. as you would see. Now, gosh, it's so easy. Oh, this tortilla is so hot, people. I don't mind telling you. So look, we're gonna throw some of our chicken on there. Once again, dress this however you like with whatever toppings. I have pretty standard toppings here for this. I have refried beans. We're gonna use that as a side here. I love a little melted cheese right over top, so we're gonna put a little bit of that, a little bit of lettuce. The rib prefers salsa over tomatoes. I personally don't mind either. Once again, if I had a little more time, I'd have made my own salsa. This is one of my favorite salsas from a jar here. However, today, I always love that little kick of onion, so put a couple extra over top of there. And of course, we're gonna top all of that off with a little bit of cheese and then fold this nice pillowy, soft tortilla over. And once again, it's not perfect. But once again, we operate on Grandma Helen rules here. Delicious outdoes looks every time. That's what we go with here, right? All of the time we go with that. So we have this nice tortilla. Now I'm gonna put a little on the side. I would normally put some sour cream on here. And look, this thing is just, oh, look how beautiful it looks. It's falling apart a little bit. Put a couple of chips on here. And then these refried beans. Once again, if you have the time, go ahead and make your own pinto or black beans. Add a little bit of lard or bacon fat in there. And then cook those things up and they'll be delicious. Add a little cheese on the side. Voila, there we have it, friends. Let's give this taco a little bit of a taste here. What do you say? The lime on this is so tangy. And you get that smokiness of the tequila we used. Go ahead and top off our tortillas so they stay warm for the next taco. Wow, gosh, this is just one of my favorite meals. I have friends far and wide actually request this when they come visit the house, and the rib will request this more often than I'll actually make it. So I'm really glad to be sharing this recipe with you. This is probably the first recipe on Supper with Stub, to be honest with you, that I've completely developed on my own. Everything else, I mean, like we all do, all of us home cooks, even advanced home cooks, what do? We kind of take other people's recipes and go from there. I think my roast I've probably done myself. My gravy and biscuits definitely me. Hey, I take that back. I'm really awesome and do a lot of original recipes here. I just wanted you to know that though. This is all your boy Stub on this one. Look at this. We got a little bit of a broken cork. I think I just entered in a weird way when I was corkscrewing. All right, so what do we pair with this? Some people are going to be Spanish Reds, which I think would be appropriate. Nice Torontes would probably be pretty good. Me, Albarino. And gosh, those of you who know me know I will pair Albarino with any possible thing I can, mainly because I love any excuse to open an Albarino. However, in this case, what I like about it is you get the citrus quality, which goes along with the chicken itself, but you also get that acid, which also there's citric acid in here, but it just jams it up. And if you add sour cream and a little the creaminess of the beans in there, you really get a nice. So you see now, I'm just jumping all in here like I'm sitting at the table by myself. Put a little beans on there with a chip, a little sour cream on the end. Take a little bite of this and see what it's like with this wine. You get the same flavors with the citrus on the wine and the chicken there. The creaminess of the bean sour cream really evens everything out on both flavors. This is perfect. You get a little bit of a melon here on the Albarino, which you will occasionally. Once again, it's not like full-on cantaloupe or anything like that, so don't go going crazy there. It's definitely a citrus-driven and kind of salt-driven wine. It just really works well with this meal. Now, as always, Supper with Stub fans, not all of you are wine fans, or we'll have this perfect wine pairing just laying around the house as I normally would. Enter our beer pairing. Oh, friends, you're gonna think I've lost my mind this week. And I'm hoping that tasting this proves me wrong. The beer we're pairing this week is a New England style hazy little thing IPA from Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. So you look at the nice golden color, but the haze and the orange, almost orangish color because of the non-filtered and the haziness. This is 6.7% alcohol beer. Be honest with you, it smells like something you might smell in the streets of DC or perhaps streets of Denver or Seattle or anywhere in California or Oregon now. But you definitely get that, that hoppy character from there, that more dank character. But also the unfilteredness, the hops that are used here, you get this nice tropical juiciness on these unfiltered New England style IPAs. Let's go ahead and try these. Once again, we're going full bore. Little beans, little sour cream on a chip here at the end of my taco. Let's see how this all goes together. Your boy Stub knows what he's doing, friends. The tropicalness, the tropical fruit you get on this IPA, that juiciness really complements, but also cuts through some of the creaminess on there. Once again, you get the two citruses kind of competing a little bit, but you add any kind of sour cream, any kind of salsa, anything else, this just goes amazingly. I don't know which one of these I like best, and that's good because I have a whole beer and a whole bottle of wine here to make my next 17 tacos after we stop filming here. Well, there you have it, friends. We have my world famous, or yeah, world famous now, I guess, Tequila Lime Chicken recipe. You're welcome, world. And my pretty well perfected homemade flour tortillas. Add any kind of fixings you want. A lot of people are gonna add something like maybe a jicama slaw in here for a little bit of a difference in texture on the taco. Do whatever you want that goes with it there. You can do some cool mango salsa if you want to make your own on that. We're actually going to revisit that in season 2, I guarantee you. So yeah, thanks for joining me. I want to thank you all for joining me for not just today, but the previous 9 episodes as well. This is the end of the first season of Supper with Stub. I'm going to take a little bit of a hiatus here. Come up with some new recipes, do a little traveling, travel logging, tasting some wine, beer, and spirits around the world. Okay, well, the US. So I first and foremost want to thank the Rib because she's put up with camera gear just sitting here for the last 10 weeks so I could shoot this in our kitchen and family room. I want to thank our friend Aphrodite, her sister Sybil. I want to thank my co-host of Wine Antics Live, Jen, my good buddy Chris Kern, co-host of the One Bourbon, One Charter, One Beer podcast, which will be coming back very soon. I want to thank my good friend Nebraska in Nebraska as well. All of you have been invaluable for giving me some advice and support on the show in one way or another, and I really appreciate it. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining me, friends. Yeah, I'm taking a couple weeks off, and until next time, stop coveting, start drinking, and remember, there's always a seat at the table for you for Supper with Stub. Cheers, friends.